If you don't want to get murdered when camping, pay attention to these 10 camping safety tips. I promise you they'll keep you safer. I'm a former CI officer. I'm an Eagle Scout. So I spend a lot of time outdoors. I love camping. I love going hiking. And of course, I want to do it safely. So here are the 10 tips you need to know. Number one is pretty common sense. As a good friend of mine says, who's also former CIA, he says spying is common sense on steroids. Well, hopefully a lot of these tips are going to be common sense on steroids. All right, so number one is when choosing the campsite you go to. Obviously, if it's spring break and you're going to some campsite where it's a bunch of rowdy college kids and they're drunk and they're going crazy, you're more likely to have something go wrong. If you're choosing a campsite, even though I know there's not one, in inner city Baltimore, Maryland, or in inner city Chicago, well, you're more likely to have problems. And yes, I lived in inner city Baltimore for a while, so I know how bad it is. So research your campsite. Obviously, get online, take the few minutes to do the research, like what are the reviews? Is it safe? Is it in a dangerous area where they've had a lot of problems, where there's been muggings, robberies, etc.? So do your research, make sure you're going to a good location, and you're not starting off on a bad foot by putting your family in a dangerous place. So that is tip number one. All right, what is tip number two? Well, tip number two is to set up a perimeter alarm. Perimeter alarms are cheap, they're easy to set up. Here's how you do it. So, let me pull this out from here. There are many perimeter alarms. Just go online and search driveway alarm, and you'll find something that looks like this. You can put them on a stake, or if you didn't want to, you can literally set it up on the edge of your table, going across the entrance to your campsite. You can get 4 of these, that way you have one going each way, so you can have a perimeter. Now, the way these work is, it's solar activated, so when someone goes by, it chimes to a base station. The base station can run off batteries, or you can plug it into a generator, and it's almost like a doorbell, meaning if somebody crosses your perimeter, it's just ding-dong, and you can set it to different tones, so it's very easy to see. Not only are these great for camping, but they're great for driveways. I have one of these on my driveway. That way I know anytime a car pulls into my driveway, I'm alerted. I also have one at my back entrance of my house. That way if anybody tries to come on my property through the back way, well, again, it chimes. So perimeter alarms, easy to set up, stake them, put it in here, and doesn't cost a whole lot of money. So let me move this out of the way. Tip number 3, do not post on social media until after the event. Again, remember how in tip 1 I said spying is common sense on steroids? This is another common sense one. So I've got friends who will post like, hey, I'm going camping for the next 7 days in XYZ. And it's like, okay, now we know your house is empty for the next 7 days. Now we know, anybody checking social media. So yes, I will tell people, but I tell people after the fact. Again, common sense, but nobody has common sense these days. You and I both know that. But it'll keep you safer, and you don't have to worry about, 1, your house getting broken into because everybody knows you're gone, or 2, people knowing, hey, I'm going to be at XYZ campsite from this date if somebody wanted to find you there. That's tip 3. All right, now let's move into tip 4. Okay, tip 4 is have some medical items. I've got 7 kids, and every time we go camping, somebody's getting cut, scraped, breaking an arm, whatever. So have a medical kit. Yes, you can have something like this. This is one we own. It's got 1,000,001 things in there. Obviously a little overkill, but it has a ton of stuff, and these aren't super expensive. You can also get just smaller medical items for when you go camping, and I have that in the back of here. So in here I have, this is a trauma pack by Venture Medical Kits. It's got Quick Clot in it. That's stuff that stops bleeding, the clotting agent. It also has a bunch of bandages and gauze, so something easy. And then, of course, I have in this pocket a tourniquet. So tourniquets, just to be ultra safe. This is the Combat Application Tourniquet. Great tourniquet since you can put it on one-handed. But definitely, when you go camping, have medical items. Okay, number 5. Camping safety, you gotta have some weapons and tools to protect yourself. Pretty darn important. So, for instance, every time I go camping as one, I've always got a gun on me. I live in the free state of Utah, so we can have guns. So, for instance, right now, I'll stand up here in my front pocket. I have a Sig Sauer P365, great little gun, 9mm, easily slips in my pocket. So, I like that. So, that's one of the weapons and tools I have. And I'll show you how I do it in my tent in a moment. We'll go in there. Other tools and weapons is a good fixed blade knife. Anywhere I go, I'm gonna have a fixed blade knife, especially when camping, because we're always opening something up, opening packages of hot dogs, who knows what. So have a quality fixed blade knife that is full tang, that is not gonna fall apart. I've got one of those. And I also have a flashlight. This is a flashlight. I'll turn it on blind here real quick. So this is, make sure it's off. This is a flashlight, which obviously shaped like a baseball bat, got a really good grip, and trust me, you can smash the living daylights out of somebody. So if you are not a gun person, if you didn't want one, have this, and it's obviously gonna deter an intruder or not feel good. Let me show you what I do when I sleep. So when I sleep, and this is, over here, is just a small tent, and my kids play in this most of the time. However, I have taken this camping when I've had to go out with a youth group. Now, this is a cheap and simple tent, meaning if I'm going up in the mountains and there's gonna be serious weather, I'm not taking this. But when I'm going to St. George camping and it's nothing too serious, this is like, again, the world's cheapest pop-up tent. But hey, I've slept in it, I've used it, it works. Let me show you. So, because it's so windy out here, I got my sleeping bag out. If I am sleeping, again, I'm in my tent, I'm comfortable. Oh, I could go to bed right now. So when I'm camping and I'm sleeping, I sleep with my gun in my pocket, which is one of the reasons I like pocket carry. So I don't have my gun lying out because I've got young kids. I want my gun on me, and I don't have my gun in some safe because I don't have to worry about it. You know, I'm inside my sleeping bag, I'm asleep, it's in my pocket, and if I have to draw, I'll do it slowly and take the holster out so I can show you the holster. But it's easy to draw from the sleeping position. If I was drawing it fast, this hook here and this hook here keeps the gun, or keeps the holster in my pocket, the gun comes out. So it's very, very easy to draw your pistol from a sleeping position, and it doesn't bother me. I mean, again, I sleep on my back just like this. I'm not a side sleeper, and it's fine. So yes, I sleep like this, and I keep my gun in my pocket. So definitely for camping safety, in this day and age, I think you'd be crazy if you did not have some type of weapons, which is why I've got my gun, which is why I've got my flashlight, and which is why I always have a fixed blade knife. All right, another tip number 6 actually, is don't make it look like you're camping solo if you're camping solo. For instance, if I was by myself or other people, especially if I had one of my daughters going camping by themselves, is set up multiple chairs, set up multiple tents. Now, I do have some at the end right there. You can see some kids' chairs. I wouldn't just set up one adult chair and then have like 15 kids' chairs, because obviously that doesn't look great. So set up and make it look like you have a big group. That way, if somebody is casing, because criminals usually case, even in campgrounds, if they're walking up and down the campground saying, who looks like they're gonna be an easy victim, if you've got one chair and that's it, versus somebody that's got 3 chairs and 2 kids' chairs, it's like, okay, that's multiple people. I probably don't want to mess with that person. So set up multiple chairs. You can even set up multiple tents. I mean, that tent right there, as I said, is a cheap pop-up tent. I think I paid 30 bucks for it. I don't even, maybe it was 50, I don't know, but it was super cheap. It was probably 30 bucks. But you can set those up literally 10 seconds, and you can set up 3 of those, takes 10 seconds. Okay, now you got 3 tents, and you've got chair, 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 chair. It looks like you have several people there, so somebody may say, I'm gonna go to another campsite, or heck, I'm not gonna bother that person at all because there's multiple people. So that's tip 6. Set up decoy chairs, set up decoy tents. Okay, tip 7. Swallow your pride. We know how people get in stupid fights. We know about road rage incidents. If you're camping and maybe the next campsite over is rowdy, maybe it's somebody who's playing their music too late, just let it go. It is what it is. I mean, human beings are dumb, and there are too many dumb human beings who take insults way too seriously and, go on killing sprees. So don't go up to the guy, next door is playing his music, hey, you mother son of a gun, blah, 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 because then you may cause a fight, and then you may not have a safe camping experience. So I get it. It's annoying. Again, I've got 7 young kids. I didn't have kids until after I left the CIA, so my kids are young. My youngest is 1, my oldest is 12. I get it that playing music late at night, but there are a lot of idiots in this world, a lot of people who lack common sense. Just let it go. It's not that big of a deal in the scheme of things. So when I say swallow your pride, if somebody says something you don't like, hey, brush it off, whatever. I've been in road rage, or not road rage, but I've been, somebody thought they cut me, I cut them off, they flipped me off, and sure, it makes me mad. I'm human, but I just let it go. I don't give them the middle finger back. I don't start yelling and screaming. I think to myself, that knucklehead is lucky that I'm a calm, civilized human being, because if not, I've got a gun on me right now, and if I was some gang member with a gun, bad things could happen. But I'm a good guy with a gun who obeys the law, so I'm not even gonna try and escalate this. Well, swallow your pride, just like I do in road rage incidents when you're camping. Don't do anything stupid. Let it go if somebody says something to you or insults you or playing loud music. It is not worth it. Okay, that is tip 7. Tip 8 is, you can use as a safety device, is have a foghorn. Even though these smaller ones, even though this is smaller than a full-size foghorn, they are still loud. They will still scare the bejesus out of people. So if you have some kind of emergency and you need to blow this, one, it'll let other people around, if there are other people around, know that something's going on, maybe they'll come to help. But if someone is trying to come into your camp and you start blowing this, they will probably flee. So let's see how loud this guy is. Ah, well, that wasn't fun. Now I'm completely deaf. Jeez, I should have done that further away. I'm completely deaf in my right ear. So this is a tiny, tiny foghorn, I think from Home Depot. I don't even remember what I paid for this, 10 bucks, 20 bucks, but a super cheap foghorn, and me blowing it for even, whatever, half a second hurt my own ears. So have a foghorn for camp safety. That is tip number 8. Tip number 9, solar motion sensor lights. Dirt cheap these days. I have them all over my house. You don't even have to have it, staked to anything or screwed into anything. You can set these up on your campsite. I could put it right here. Obviously, you want to charge it first, meaning when you first buy these things, leave it in the sun for 8 hours. So make sure it's charged up. But you can put this all around your campsite, and if somebody's trying to come to your campsite, that will light right up. They're very, very bright. My kids love to play kick the can. I am still fast, or at least I think I'm still fast. So we go play kick the can, and all the time I'm able to see them because they're trying to sneak around the house and it trips these lights, and it's very, very bright. So consider getting a few of these for your campsite. And I mean, I could just leave it here on top of my cooler. I could put one on top of the car. I put them all over. Anybody comes, it is gonna light the bejesus out of them. So have some of these solar motion sensor lights. These are good, and have them on your house if you don't have them on your house either. Okay, and for our final tip, tip number 10, an important one. You gotta have communication devices for emergencies. If you have some kind of catastrophe, you need to be able to call 911 or call a family and member friend. So I'm gonna share with you for tip number 10, 2 critical communication devices I have and I take with me when I go camping. One is more for me and one is more for my wife, and I'll tell you why. The first one for me is a satellite phone. I love camping in southern Utah, and I love going places where there is no cell service, where there is no internet service, any of that. So I take a satellite phone, super easy to use. All you gotta do is make sure the antenna's up, make sure you have a clear view of the sky, which I do now as I'm blinding myself in the sun. And then to use this, all you have to do is dial 1 plus the number you're trying to call. So let's say I'm alone. Let's say I'm solo camping. I love solo camping, even though I hardly ever do it with a wife and 7 kids. But I need to call my wife. I dial 1-435 and the rest of her phone number. So for instance, 1-435-555-5555, and then I can talk to my wife. That's how easy it is to use a satellite phone. But remember, because I'm asked all the time, you have to use it outdoors. You have to have a clear view of the sky. If you're inside, these suckers ain't work. So this is one satellite phone communication device, and the second one, this is what my wife likes. This is a bivy stick. So I'm old-fashioned, I use a flip phone. My flip phone, see, wife's phone. So this pairs, you have to download the app, but this pairs, this bivy stick, with your phone, and it turns it into basically a satellite text messaging device. So you're not gonna be able to make calls with it, but if you're in the middle of nowhere, have zero service whatsoever, and you've put the app on this, this allows you to text from anywhere in the world because it goes to satellite phones. So this is more affordable than a satellite phone, which is why some people use it. I like the satellite phones just because that's what I like. So that is tip number 10. Have some kind of communication device if you're camping in the middle of nowhere. The place I get my satellite phones and all my communication devices is spysatphone.com. I recommend it. I like them. I encourage you, as I get stuff blown over, I encourage you to use them. spysatphone.com. All right, there you have it. 10 camping safety tips. Watch this again if you need them. But go camping, get in the outdoors. It's awesome. I love camping, even with 7 kids, which drive me crazy because they're always playing around the campfire. And always, I'm having to yell at them to get away from the fire. Anyway, I'm former CIA officer Jason Hanson. I hope out of these 10 tips, you learned a thing or two. God bless you and have a wonderful rest of your day.